achieve the dream you chased for years, only to feel totally empty and realize it was a biological trap. If you want to understand why your brain sabotages your victories, subscribe to join this journey into our biology. A prominent Harvard positive psychology lecturer documented this exact crisis and labeled it the arrival fallacy. This fallacy exposes a brutal glitch where reaching a highly desired destination brings profound psychological pain. The most decorated swimmer in Olympic history admitted to feeling terrifyingly hollow after winning his gold medals. He stood on the highest podium in Beijing and felt an overwhelming wave of depression instead of ultimate triumph. This post-victory depression occurs because our nervous system is not wired to sustain a permanent state of joy. Your mind operates on a hedonic baseline, which is a default emotional setting that you return to after every win. Wow, a brand new luxury car. This is amazing.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just a car. My emotional state went back to normal. Your subjective well-being resets so aggressively that the new reality feels exactly like the old, boring reality. Elite athletes face this void because they strip away their daily structural purpose the moment the games conclude. When the singular focus of their waking life vanishes, they are left with a severe deficit of motivating chemicals. The emptiness is not ingratitude, but a severe neurochemical withdrawal happening within the human nervous system. If getting exactly what we want does not make us happy, we must ask what our brain is actually trying to find now. The answer hides in dopamine, which popular culture incorrectly labels as the chemical responsible for our happiness. Dopamine is actually the molecule of anticipation that forces you to pursue rewards that you do not yet possess. A famous Stanford primatologist proved this by measuring neurotransmitter levels in monkeys pressing a lever for food. The monkey experienced the massive dopamine spike when the signal light turned on, and not when the food finally arrived. The monkey experienced the massive dopamine spike when the signal light turned on, and not when the food finally arrived. The brain releases its greatest chemical reward during the chase to ensure that you actually do the required work. The moment the monkey received the treat, the dopamine levels plummeted back to baseline, almost instantaneously now. This biochemical half-life means the spike decays in minutes and leaves you stranded with a sudden drop in motivation. A leading University of Michigan biopsychologist mapped these distinct wanting versus liking neural pathways recently. He discovered that the circuitry driving you to want something is massively larger than the circuit for liking it. Your brain contains an incredibly powerful engine for desire and a microscopic mechanism for actual satisfaction. This disproportionate wiring means we are biologically designed to crave things far more intensely than we enjoy them. The chemical drop you feel after achieving a goal is your brain abruptly shutting off the wanting system entirely. You feel empty because the neurological machinery that propelled you out of bed every morning has suddenly lost power. Without a new target, the dopamine system goes dormant and leaves you experiencing a profound physiological silence. Your nervous system demands a new target immediately because resting in a state of contentment serves no purpose. If dopamine plummets after we get the reward, why did evolution program our brains to betray us with such precision? During the Pleistocene epoch, a prehistoric human who felt permanently satisfied after a large meal would simply die. Complacency was a fatal trait when predators roamed the savanna and food sources shifted with the changing seasons. Evolution actively selected for chronic dissatisfaction because restless humans kept exploring and finding resources. The ancestors who felt anxious and empty after a victory were the ones who built stronger shelters and survived winter. Key psychological observations defined this exact survival mechanism as the hedonic treadmill effect. We keep walking endlessly on this psychological treadmill because our baseline happiness adapts to any new advantage. This treadmill kept our ancestors alive, but it causes immense psychological damage through evolutionary mismatch theory. Our ancient brains are operating a software program built for scarcity while we live in an environment of abundance. You achieve your financial milestone and your biology immediately panics because resting feels like a survival threat. Your brain deletes the joy of your new salary and commands you to secure the next resource to prevent future starvation. The void you feel is actually a prehistoric alarm system designed to force you out of the cave to hunt another mammoth. Evolution does not care if you feel fulfilled, because its only objective is your continued survival and reproduction. The flaw that makes us so incredibly miserable is the exact same engine that allowed our species to conquer the planet. We built global civilizations specifically because no human being could ever tolerate the agony of sitting perfectly still. Your depression after success is just a localized manifestation of the evolutionary drive that built modern humanity. You are punishing yourself for a perfectly functioning neurochemical reset that kept your genetic lineage breathing. We are biologically hardwired by an ancient code that uses our own misery to push humanity forward into the unknown. If we are destined to never be satisfied, are we just doomed to be miserable in the shiny and complex modern world? Modern consumer capitalism actively exploits this evolutionary dissatisfaction by providing infinite synthetic finish lines. Society weaponizes your vulnerability by constantly moving the goalposts so that the chase never actually concludes. A corporate structure of endless promotions mimics the prehistoric hunt, but ensures you never actually catch the prey. You spend 10 years climbing the corporate ladder, only to discover that the final rung just leads to another ladder. The system relies on the economic principle of Goodhart's law, where a measure ceases to be a good measure when targeted. You target the high salary as a measure of happiness, but the moment you hit the target, the happiness evaporates quickly. Digital consumerism accelerates this trap by feeding your dopamine receptors with rapid bursts of fake achievements. Video game levels and social media likes hijack the wanting circuit without ever delivering any lasting substance. The algorithm perfectly understands that the anticipation of a notification triggers more dopamine than the message. We are running our prehistoric brains through a modern obstacle course designed by engineers to maximize our fatigue. You feel empty because you just finished a race that a corporation designed to extract your labor and your attention. The reward you thought would change your life was just a manufactured synthetic trigger keeping you on the treadmill. We buy products to satisfy a primal urge for safety, but the products are designed to make us feel inadequate again. This creates an endless feedback loop, where achieving the goal immediately generates the desire for a bigger goal now. How can we escape this cycle of chasing and crashing if both our biology and our modern environment demand it today? The only way to bypass this void is to cognitively detach your dopamine release from the final destination entirely. How can we escape this cycle of chasing and crashing if both our biology and our modern environment demand it today? The only way to bypass this void is to cognitively detach your dopamine release from the final destination entirely. You must actively train your brain to release the reward chemical during the painful struggle rather than the victory. When you derive pleasure from the exertion, you eliminate the crash because the process itself becomes the actual prize. This neurological shift moves you from extrinsically motivated circuits into intrinsically rewarding neural pathways. You stop relying on the gold medal or the promotion to validate your existence and start finding joy in the daily work. You stop relying on the gold medal or the promotion to validate your existence and start finding joy in the daily work.